Let's begin with the big international story at this hour. Former U.S. President Donald Trump will travel to New York on Monday ahead of a scheduled arraignment in a Manhattan courthouse on Tuesday. He is expected to hand himself over to authorities after a grand jury indicted him last week after weighing the evidence in a matter involving hush money payments to two women in return for their silence ahead of the 2016 election. And as the city readies for his arrival, Trump, who is also a candidate for the Republican presidential nomination, is preparing to politically capitalize on his arrest.
I think he's going to try to rally his base and use these charges as a political lightning rod. He's already been aggressively attacking the DA's office on social media, and his supporters, a significant percentage of them, will believe that Trump is being treated unfairly, that this is all a political witch hunt, that the whole criminal justice system is unfair. And this is regardless of whether he's indicted. Even if he's convicted, I fully believe that many of his supporters will believe that this whole process was illegitimate.
Let's find out more from our correspondent, Sherwin Bryce-Pease, who's outside the courthouse where the former president will appear tomorrow. Sherwin, good evening. A political spectacle playing itself out from Florida to New York amid global interest and a very tight security presence. What's the mood on the ground right now?
Well, Iman, all roads lead to the Manhattan Courthouse behind me over my left shoulder. A huge media contingent, but not the kind of turnout one would have expected, certainly from people that enjoy seeing Donald Trump being arraigned in this way, or certainly from his supporters. You'll remember more than 2 weeks ago, he tweeted that he was about to be arrested on a Tuesday. A few days later, that of course didn't play out as the former president sought to narrate or preview his arrest. But of course the grand jury coming down with that decision last Thursday, and of course things now moving speedily ahead. We understand that the president's aircraft is now left West Palm Beach, is en route to New York. He will spend the night in Trump Tower in central Manhattan before being arraigned in the courthouse tomorrow morning, before appearing before a judge in the afternoon. And a former federal prosecutor, Niyama Rahmani, really sort of plays out what will happen in the hours and days ahead. Let's watch.
Trump will be given the opportunity to appear in court. He's not going to be arrested. Now, he will be booked, which means he'll be fingerprinted, he'll have his mugshot taken, but he's certainly not going to be placed in handcuffs. He's not going to be put in a cell with the general population. Secret Service will escort him to New York, where he will complete that booking process and then make an appearance in court. His attorneys, of course, will plead not guilty for him. I don't expect there to be any pretrial resolution in this case, and we're going to see the most politically charged trial in American history.
So essentially, Iman, calm scenes here ahead of his arrival downtown Manhattan tomorrow afternoon. Some curious onlookers. The largest contingent of people out here is the media and, of course, the very tight security apparatus that they've laid out for his arrival. The NYPD coordinating with state police, with the FBI, and, of course, the Secret Service. This is a former president, and he'll be surrounded by Secret Service agents who are, of course, responsible for his protection, but they will be accompanying him throughout this process tomorrow. It's expected to be sort of a 10-minute court appearance. He will plead to the charges and then will be released on his own recognizance. He will then travel back to Mar-a-Lago, Florida, where he's due to give a prime time address, 8:15 p.m., with a prime time audience seeking to leverage this moment playing itself out in New York, given the political campaign that is not too far from his mind as well, Iman.
Not letting a good crisis go to waste. Well, it's been a few days, Sherwin, since the grand jury voted to indict the former president, who, as we've talked about, is running for the Republican presidential nomination for 2024. It will be interesting to ask whether this hurts him politically, or whether it fuels his candidacy.
Well, there was a sense that there was growing fatigue, certainly within Republican ranks, for, Donald Trump announcing last November that he was running for the presidential election. Ron DeSantis, the very successful Florida governor, winning hugely in the last midterm election, really very popular governor, seen as one of the front runners for the Republican nomination. Before the indictment, Donald Trump was leading him by about 8 points in the polls. Subsequent to that indictment demand, Donald Trump has stretched his lead to some 30 points. A Yahoo News YouGov poll says Trump has a 31-point lead over his closest potential rival, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. So this has really surged support. There is a Marist poll out that's saying 80% of the Republican Party believe that this is a witch hunt and that the former president has been unfairly targeted. Of course, there are differing views to that. There is, of course, a Democratic contingent. We are in Manhattan, which is very much blue country in this country, that wants to see the president answer to these charges. You'll also remember that his former fixer, Michael Cohen, the lawyer, has already served time for similar charges. So, akin to the Jacob Zuma-Shabir Sheikh relationship, Iman, we are going to be seeing something similar play out here come tomorrow afternoon.
And just to pick up on something you've alluded to right now, Trump's attorneys say they believe, as he does, this is political persecution, part of a weaponization of the U.S. criminal justice system, to use the words you just did, a witch hunt and so on. But this case in New York is but one of many the former president is girding himself for, not so?
Yeah, the speculation was which investigation, which grand jury process was going to conclude first. Was it going to be the Fulton County investigation down in Georgia, where they are investigating election malfeasance from former President Trump and his allies seeking to overturn the result of that state election which Joe Biden won in 2020? Is it going to be the Department of Justice or the special counsel investigation looking into his illegal retention of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate? Was it going to be an indictment related to Donald Trump, urging his supporters to attack the United States Congress while they were seeking to certify the election results? There are a number of investigations that are circling the Trump orbit here. The first one coming down in Manhattan, but as we say, more could follow post his appearance here in New York tomorrow, Iman.
Well, we'll be following it very closely through your eyes as well. Thank you very much. SABC News correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease there in New York for us.